Welcome back, Sacred Travelers. Today, we are diving into an exciting topic, bridging new archaeological findings with ancient knowledge and myth and prophecy. So, of course, I could not go about the show and not speak about the latest findings under the Giza Plateau, more specifically under the Khafre Pyramid, which is the middle pyramid. That, to me, emanates the frequency of the whales and the great cosmic grandmother. So, all I'm doing in this episode is piecing together different fragments that have been researched by great minds such as Edgar Cayce, Graham Hancock, Robert Edward Grant, Bess Forge, and others that may be named or unnamed. Plus, I am weaving in some of my own experience and channelings from my times in Egypt and with the Sphinx and the pyramid grid that truly holds a consciousness on its own. Now, if you're watching or listening to this and you feel called to experience the life-changing codes of Egypt for yourself and in your own body and cells, you will have the possibility to come on a sacred travel adventure with me this December. It's a 7 nights gridwork journey, activating and receiving soul key codes for your own spiritual expansion and supporting to prepare Gaia's Merkaba Grid as we anchor the Sophia Christ consciousness on Earth. So, what has been discovered recently under the Khafre Pyramid? And why is this so important and coming up now? It's been huge geometrical structures that are by large exceeding the pyramids itself that were found. A team of international researchers has found eight enormous cylindrical structures or wells with spiral tunnels around them under the middle pyramid. And imagine each one is like 640 meters in length. So that's almost half a mile down into the bedrock beneath the complex of the pyramid. And compared to the pyramid itself, this is 4.5 times the size of the actual pyramid. Now, imagine you're a tiny human, like standing in front of that huge pyramid, and 4.5 times down into the earth, there is more massive structures that are underneath the ground, underneath your feet. And it's not only that, but these wells end in 2 gigantic cubes that are really deep down in the ground. And still, this is not all. So inside Khafre, inside the second pyramid, this belly of the mother whale, with the same radar technique, also they found 5 chambers, new chambers, ancient chambers, very similar to the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid. And the interesting thing is that this is actually not even something new. There are similar temple structures around the world, such as Angkor Wat, that show these same complex shapes. So just taking a breath and imagine we're talking about giant vertical shafts wrapped in spiral staircases, a limestone platform housing 2 enormous chambers, and a possible ancient water system that is even below, extending over 2,100 feet deep. And of course, experts are pushing back a little bit about these findings, but the potential implications are more profound and really, really paradigm changing. So you might think, why do we even bother about that? Remember that the common narrative of the pyramids is still that they were built as tombs. Remember also that the common narrative is still that they were built with a hammer and a chisel and slaves pulling these enormous granite blocks on logs. This is what you find in school history books all around the world. And mind you, none of this has ever occurred before 2 or maybe 3,000 BC. So this discovery is massive and brings authorities under great pressure to explain the entire narrative of human origin and also existence. But this is not what I want to talk about to discuss entirely today. Just let that sink in, and also feel free to post in the comments what you feel this is all about. And I also want to encourage you to really do your own research. There's great material out there. Everybody talks about this in one way or another. So, what I would like to offer you is some dot linkage with ancient prophecies and historically documented information. So, let's unwind our way back in time. There was one woman on Instagram recently. She calls herself Agata El Mrabet, and she refers to these structures as Amenti harmonic resonator. And I just want you to make a mental note with the term Amenti as the halls of records, the halls of Amenti. And she suggests that this ancient structure may have intentionally embedded crystalline amplifiers that are attuned to a specific frequency, namely the 963 hertz, as a frequency that she says she's associated and come across as a consciousness particle that she calls Anu Ra. And Ra is also like referring to the sun, the central sun. There is other references to the work of Leonardo da Vinci, actually, that he might have intuitively tapped into the same hidden knowledge, bridging past, present, and future through harmonic consciousness. And the same is true, of course, with Tesla's work, as in general, also the pyramids are often associated with power plants, and thus with him and his findings, his concept of free energy for the planet. And then on another note, these deep shafts that were found, it's actually not uncommon in Egypt. There are at least 5 on the Giza plateau. So if you have the 3 pyramids on the plateau, it's almost like a landing stripe, a gateway that is leading to Khafre, the middle pyramid. And there are 5 on this landing stripe alone. And one, of course, how could it be different, is even named after Osiris, as also the constellation of the pyramids is linked to the constellation of Orion. So, of course, you can go down that rabbit hole as well, and you will find massive structures with also sarcophagi and always water involved. So, just a side note, very similar to what you would find in the Serapeum of Saqqara. And by the way, this is one of my favorite places in Egypt. And of course, you will get to explore this place when joining the pilgrimage initiation into the Merkaba Grid this December. It's like massive Atlantean consciousness technology in these huge black granite sarcophagi arranged in a very peculiar order. So anyways, and that is part of the Saqqara area in or let's say around the close to the Fayum Desert. And that area in itself is said to hold the labyrinth of Hawara. It's a massive temple complex in itself, and ancient Greek scholars such as Asclepius or also Herodotus referred to this labyrinth of Hawara as 12 massive courts alternating north and south facing with 300,000 rooms, half above ground, half underground. And Herodotus said it is so intricate that you might enter and never find your way out. So also here we are dealing with massive architectural masterpieces underground. So no doubt these physical structures exist, more and more are being revealed. And if you ask me, I always tend to say there will be even more pyramids making themselves known over the next couple of years. Why? because I feel it's both. It is the earth and her consciousness, the consciousness that is stored in these structures, in these sacred sites. That's the sacred site medicine that I like to refer to, that it's really wanting to presence and reveal the wisdom that it holds. And it is also humanity waking up to another level of awareness and presence with our magnificent planet and what, of course, other star nations and our ancestry has left us. So it's all there. It's kind of like you are walking the same path that you've walked over and over again. And all of a sudden, like you see this, I don't know, beautiful giant tree, or you see that there is a stone statue, like something like that. It's always been there, but it was kind of like cloaked with a veil, and the veil, not a whale, and that veil is lifted now. So it's really like that layer of consciousness that it's like, oh, okay, I can see you now. And it happened to me actually. I discovered, not that I discovered them, but whenever I travel or I am intrigued with a certain piece of land, I of course do research as well. And I've been to Mauritius a couple of times now. And only the third time that I went, I discovered that there are, of course, pyramids. They're not described as pyramids today, but they're there clearly. And so my invitation for you is really also to, no matter where you are, it can be your backyard and really like your home area, like go with open eyes. And even if you live in a city, there is so much underneath the surface, underneath the structures. There is so much that is really only just stored in the soil and the waters and the land, the rock. Listen, 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 and see. Hey, everybody. If you are enjoying the show, then you would do me the biggest favor in clicking the subscribe button and engaging with my content so I can continue to deliver these beautiful conversations to you. Thank you so much. So, all right, let's transition from the more physical into the metaphysical and revive some ancient prophecies with the Sphinx as the main character. You might have come across the Halls of Amenti, the Halls of Records, sometimes also referred to as the Hall of Mirrors, that is said to hold the Akashic records. So, this etheric library that holds all knowledge, all the records of each and every one of each and every human being of humanity itself, the origins of humanity. And the Emerald Tablets, a channeled book of Thothean wisdom, speaks about the chamber of records as hidden beneath the earth and structures like these, specifically under the Sphinx. So there are references to Atlantean knowledge being stored and sealed for when the time is right and humanity is ready again in terms of consciousness to retrieve these codes and also this technology and revive it. Again, like a little disclaimer, the Merkaba is one of them. It's not just a symbol, it is ancient body technology. You have a Merkaba around. It's your personal energy field. The earth has a Merkaba. You can work with the Merkaba as a symbol. It's a very powerful protection symbol. It's also a travel gadget, a travel tool. So the Great Sphinx of Giza is the gatekeeper of the records, and thus also the gatekeeper of this ancient wisdom. And if you go throughout history and ancient civilizations, Sphinx beings have always guarded great secrets. And in order for you to pass through the gates, she would give you a riddle to solve. And only upon giving the right answer with the right intention in the heart, you were allowed to pass. And this concept of the Halls of Amenti has been widely studied and explored. So Edgar Cayce was one scholar, for example, who was also tying a prophecy to these halls. And that goes, the halls of records would be discovered beneath the Sphinx, unveiling profound knowledge to humanity. This prophecy is aligning with a rise in consciousness or a shift in humanity related to the unveiling of ancient truths. So, what we just said before about like the veil is literally being lifted. And there is even a time connected to this prophecy coming true, and that is when significant celestial alignments take place, potentially around the year 2026. So, that would be, yes, next year. Again, I want you to take a little mental note. We are going to be elaborating further on that. So you keep in mind the current findings and you tie them to what Thoth has left us as a legacy, and then you connect your own dots. On a personal note, I have a very, very strong connection to the Sphinx. I bonded with her even before the first time that I set foot on her ground. And when you feel a frequency match with her, then you definitely have a part to play in the game, and she holds codes for you. So during our sacred pilgrimage to Egypt in December, you will have the opportunity to have a very, very special encounter with her, with the Sphinx, as we have the privilege to sit between her paws in a private sunrise ceremony. I can tell you it's pure magic and awe. And yeah, that's as much as I want to say. So head to the link in the show notes to inquire for the full details of the trip if it calls you. And I want to build a little bit more on the prophecy of Edgar Cayce and the Halls of Records and with the Sphinx. So Chris Bledsoe, he is a UFO experiencer and researcher, has only also recently on some podcasts shared an encounter with a great mother being that told him the following. When the red star appears on the horizon, this point in time will mark a change for humanity. So, what is meant by that? The red star refers to Regulus. And now you might think, or you might know, that Regulus usually is perceived as blue light. And this special occurrence has to do with the heliacal rise of Regulus. So Regulus rising before the sun and coming into alignment with the Sphinx to open the gates of the records. In esoteric astrology, Regulus is one of the four royal stars of ancient Persia, and it is considered a guardian of cosmic truth and high transformation. It is also the heart of the constellation of Leo, the lion, which symbolically, of course, is the Sphinx herself. And I just love a fun play on words as well, because when Regulus and the Sphinx come into alignment, again, that marks a turning point for Gaia and for humanity. Why or what does that mean? It is said that the light of Regulus ushers in the return of the Christ. Like again, this royal bloodline, the ushering in of the Christ. And to me, it's not speaking about a person. This is not a new Messiah, maybe as Yeshua or Buddha or other avatars were, where this is a state of consciousness that that I, as human beings, hold and are now able to literally assess and access in our own bodies. So, remembering that we are Christ consciousness, remembering our own light bodies, remembering our Merkaba field, remembering our inherent royal and regal descendants. So, this like coming from the stars. And I want to end with part of what I channeled for this mission, or that I received for the upcoming trip to Egypt in December, is that we are basically on a field mission to prepare the ground for this happening to take place. And it was tapping into working with the Akashic field of the Sphinx, and also as well as the Valley of the Whales. Remember, there is a linkage between the whales and the Khafre Pyramid. So, two places that we will visit first to collect the codings and then fuel them into the pyramid ascension grid, as we will be visiting two pyramids on the Giza Plateau, the Great Pyramid in a private visit, and also the Khafre Pyramid, the middle one, where they found the structures under, plus a couple of other pyramids that are part of the same grid. So fueling them into the pyramid ascension grid for the star Merkaba, the Christ consciousness, that is this geometric field around the earth, that symbol and energy body of that Christ consciousness, so that this can be fully activated. And yeah, if you feel called to this work and resonate with this mission, then please join us on this life-changing trip to Egypt. The link is in the show notes or on my website. So go look it up or send me a message. I'm more than happy to speak to you about it. And I'll leave you with this. I would, if you listened until this point, wow, thank you so much. I would love to hear your thoughts on what's been discussed. Write me a comment or a message on Instagram as well about your ideas and what rings true for you. I I'm just still sitting with the idea of when all of this is actually supposed to happen. I have a feeling, and it's not going to be 2026, but potentially one of the next years. And there is other constellations involved as well. So a lot of what we are doing now is the preparation for all of what's to come. And stay tuned. I really feel that there's going to be more discoveries, and the more that you hold your eyes, your ears, your senses open, the more we can share the magic of this planet that we actually live on. I love you. And as always, stay curious and continue to escape the ordinary. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening.